Hi, my name is Dan. I'll be talking today about the raft safety speech. You guys are all going whitewater rafting today, so there's a couple things we need to talk about before we go. And most of these are just going to be the questions you already have, like what happens if I fall out of a boat? How long is this trip going to be today? What are we going to see? These are things we're going to talk about right now. And if you have any questions after this video, please ask one of the guides, because I'd rather you ask the question than not. So this is your PFD. First things first, before you put it on, make sure your pillow's on the top side. You don't want it tucked under your back, and that way it can keep your head above water if you do go for a swim. There's 4 buckles. Just go ahead and loosen everything before you put it on. It's a little easier to put on. Just buckle all 4, make sure you get the bottom one. And then come back down to your sides and just kind of tighten these straps. And you don't want to necessarily cut off your air supply, but you want it to be nice and snug. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask a buddy or a guide, and we'll come and help you. And what you're looking for is it not to rise whenever you pull up on it. The idea being, if you go for a swim, this is going to stay nice and snug on you and not rise up and not let you breathe. That way you can stay on top of the water, and that's the job of the PFD. Next piece of equipment is your helmet. This protects your head from any rocks. There are rocks in the river. We're going to be going through rapids. We're going to hit some rocks today. So that's what the helmet's for. And just make sure it's nice and buckled. Your strap doesn't come over your chin. And you can rotate it and it grabs your forehead, the front of the helmet here. We sized you back at Outdoor Rec and it should be good. But just kind of double check everything and make sure your strap doesn't come over your chin. So the next thing, we're going to talk about the raft here in a little bit. But our mode of transportation is the raft, and then you're going to have a paddle. This is not an oar. You have 3 parts of this. You have your T-grip, you have your shaft, and then the blade. So a couple things, whenever you're hanging out, make sure you're always hanging on to the T-grip. So if you need to point at something, scratch something, pick your nose, whatever that is, make sure you have a hand on the T-grip. The reason being is if this is a piece of metal coated in plastic, if we're floating down the river, we accidentally hit a rock, and you're not holding onto your T-grip, and you accidentally pop someone in the face with this, you're going to give them some free dental work. So make sure you're always holding onto the T-grip. If you need to point at something, scratch something, whatever it is, just use your other hand, or even better yet, swap hands, but always have control of your T-grip. Also with the blade, whenever you're paddling, you want to put the whole blade in the water, not just like the tip, not just half of the blade, but the whole thing. You guys are the engine today, your guides are just the rudder, or we're steering the boat, and you guys are the engine. So make sure you guys are good engines, and make sure you just hang on to that T-grip at all times, and your blade's always fully in the water. We're going to talk about the parts and pieces of the raft. First, you'll notice there's some tubes going across the middle. Those are the thwarts. They're not seats. You're actually going to sit on the perimeter tube. The reason for this is it gets you outside the middle of the boat so you can use your core muscles when you paddle, and it makes you more efficient and stronger. Where you put your feet so you can stay in the boat. If you're in the front row, you'll have foot cups. You just slide your forward foot in there, and then you slide your heel back into that forward thwart. Just kind of wedge it in there between the perimeter tube and the thwart. If you're in the second or third row, just slide your forward foot under the thwart, kind of in that little nook between the thwart and perimeter tube. And then once again, slide your heel back the thwart behind you. You also have the perimeter line. It's a rope going around the entire width of the raft. What this does is just gives us one more thing to hold on to. So if you swim today, when you swim back to the boat, just grab on to the perimeter line. So commands, you guys are the propulsion today. What that means is your guide's going to call out specific strokes. There's only 3 of them, paddling strokes. And what that means is your guide will call out a command, for example, like a forward 2.
Forward 2.
And what that means, you're going to give 2 forward strokes. If he says like back 1, you'll give 1 back stroke. And your guide will talk about, you'll practice these whenever you get in the river, so don't freak out about it. On land, it's a little awkward. But as soon as you get in the river, expect to be practicing these strokes. By the time you end the day today, you're going to be really good at them. So your forward strokes, the one you're going to hear the most today, this one's pretty easy. What that means, most strokes, if you don't even think about the paddle, are using a lot of torso, a lot of core muscles. It's not your arms. If you use your arms the entire day today, you'll be super sore tomorrow, and you're not going to be as strong in 20, 30 minutes of this trip because you've already worn out your arms. So what that means is when you're sitting in the raft, you're just gonna lean forward as far as you can, stick your arms out as far as you can, and so they're locked, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna sit up and bring that paddle to your body and keep it as vertical as possible. Your backstrokes start the same way your forward strokes start. You're gonna start leaning forward, but this time you're gonna have the T-grip in front of you and the paddle blade behind you, and you're gonna rest this roughly on your hip or on the side of your leg, and you're just gonna sit up once again and pry it off of your hip. You wanna be in sync, not Backstreet Boys, all right? So, your last stroke you're gonna hear the least is a turning command. If I said left back, right forward, that means the left side of the boat would give me backstrokes, and the right side of the boat would give me forward strokes. So imagine a bulldozer or a tank, how it's on treads. You guys are treads. And if you go opposite directions, you're gonna turn really fast that direction. If I said all forward, that means keep paddling forward until I say stop. So if we're going through a big rapid or we need a lot of speed and a lot of power, I might just say all forward, and you might give me 5 or 6 strokes, and then I'll say stop. But just keep it going until I say stop. Don't think that, oh, he only needed 3. I'm gonna just chill now. No, I need a lot of power, a lot of speed. So another command you might hear from a guide is a high side. What this means is people need to get to the high side of the boat. And why we do that is there's rocks in the river, and we might be floating along, and you get a raft up on a rock that you may not want to. And as the boat starts to rise up out of the water, the people on the low side of the boat can actually help the boat flip or get stuck on this rock. So your guide may call a high side, and this means get to the high side of the boat. It's pretty easy to figure out which side's the high side. If your shorts are getting sucked off, then you're on the low side of the boat. So get to the high side. It's not a polite walk there, it's get there as fast as you can. And if you do it successfully, that means the boat comes back down and just bounces off the rock and moves on down the river. If not, it means the boat may flip or pin. So the most common question I get, besides where I go to the bathroom, is what happens when you fall out of the boat? So first things first, you have your PFD on. You're gonna float. That's gonna be your initial reaction. You're gonna come to the surface, take a deep breath, don't freak out. Most of the times when you fall out of the boat, you're right next to the boat. So come up, be holding on to your paddle, and look around, listen. Your guide's gonna be definitely yelling, specifically at you. Whenever you go into the water, you no longer have a name, you're just swimming. And you're gonna be hearing it from your guide, the boat you came out of, or you might hear it from another boat. They're gonna be trying to get your attention. Because sometimes when you fall out, you do get away from your boat and you might be closer to another boat from Fort Carson. So keep that in mind. When you come up, you're gonna bring your toes up out of the water. A nice rhyme I like to use is nose and toes up out of the water. The reason being is if your feet are pointed downstream and you're coming up at a rock, you can use your feet as bumpers and kind of push yourself off of those rocks. And more importantly is if you try to tread water or stand up in moving water, you have a thing that can potentially happen. It's called foot entrapment. It's one of the most dangerous things in the river. And the bad thing or scary thing about this is once you get your foot stuck, it's hard to get it unstuck. And you're gonna get tired after a while, and the river is not gonna get tired. So keep your nose and toes above water. The only time you should ever stand in the river is if you can see the bottom or if it's elbow depth or shallower. So whenever you have your nose and toes, it's called a defensive swimming position. Once again, keeps your feet above water, keeps the rocks out of your face, and if you turn over on your stomach and aggressively swim somewhere, whether that's the boat or shore, that's an aggressive swim position versus defense. And you only want to do that when you want to get somewhere in a hurry, because just like I said, it does expose you. You're just going to swim as best as you can. Typically that's freestyle. When you're wearing a PFD, you're going to get a ton of flotation, so just stick with it. Once again, stick with it, follow instructions, and just do it until it's done. So how to get back in the boat? It only takes one person to pull in another person. So keep this in mind, is if you fall out, the person sitting across from you is going to be the person that pulls you in, or the raft guide. The idea behind this is that if everyone tries to pull in that one person, no one's guiding the raft or no one's being the engine for the raft. So one person sitting across comes and helps that person. And how you do it is, if you're the swimmer, remember, nose and toes above water, got your paddle, hold on to the chicken line. The person sitting across from you is going to put their paddle away. They're going to grab your paddle or the swimmer's paddle, and stow that somewhere. Just be careful when you do this. Don't just throw it and it goes back in the water or hits someone in the face. Just be mindful where you put it. And you're going to grab the lapels of that swimmer. And you're going to grab the lapels, keep your arms nice and locked, and put your knees against the perimeter tube and just keep your back straight as possible, and then just fall down or sit down into the raft and pull that person up. Once again, it only takes one person to do this, and you'd be surprised how easy it is. The whole thing should take about 5 to 10 seconds. And once you're back in the boat, get back up, sit in your seats, and then keep paddling or listen for instructions from the guide. If you fall out and you're a little further away, the person can extend their T-grip. This is one of the few times you can let go of your T-grip. They can extend their T-grip, pull you back to the chicken line, repeat the process. If you're the swimmer, you got your paddle still, you can do the same thing to that person in the raft and just repeat the process getting pulled in. If you get really far away from the raft, a guide may throw a rope at you or a throw bag. It's 70 feet of rope and roughly the shape of a football. Some important things to remember: don't catch the bag. Whenever you're in the water, the guide's going to yell swimmer. He's going to point at you, get your attention, and say rope, and it's going to try to be as best of a throw as possible. It may not land in your hands, but if it's a couple feet away, swim towards it aggressively. Get it, grab the rope, don't wrap it around your hands, don't try to give yourself a better grip, because you want to be able to let go of this if we tell you to. Once you grab it, throw it over your shoulder, point your feet downstream, and you're going to get a nice tug, and it's going to whip you in to the shore, and then we'll pull you in or pull you back to the boat. Thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please ask one of the guides after this is over. And most importantly, have fun today and be safe.